Cooking while you're going through chemotherapy offers some interesting challenges. And let me explain. You have several things that affect you, at least affect through the kind of chemo which I'm going through, which is Folfox for colon cancer. The first is your sense of taste is kind of messed up, and you have metallic, and you can get mouth sores. And I have been getting mouth sores for the past few sessions. Now, that sounds horrible. Like for me, they're just little spots in the back of my mouth that I see that they're red spots. I shine a flashlight in my mouth and I see them. They don't bother me. They're not harmful. They don't hurt. The only time I've ever had anything like that hurt was I was eating a corn chip and the corn chip brushed up against them, and they're sensitive. So I tending to move away from things that are crunchy like corn chips, or if I chew them, make sure I chew them up before they get back to the back of my mouth. And you need to rinse your mouth out with salt water, and they have magic mouthwash. By the way, magic mouthwash, if you get this stuff, it's sort of bizarre. It's baking soda basically with some other stuff that numbs your mouth, and it numbs your entire mouth. It's kind of amazing stuff, but I've used it a couple of times just to see what it was like. It's when I bit my tongue, I was sore with that, but the magic mouthwash. But anyway, cooking. So like this morning, I decided I'm going to fix some bacon. Okay, now I have the metallic taste in my mouth, but I fixed the bacon. The thing that makes cooking the hardest is the sensitivity to cold. And right now, think I'm extremely sensitive to cold. I have an InstaRead thermometer. You shine a little laser light down on the stuff, and it'll tell you how hot it is or how cold it is. And I test the water, and room temperature water is too cold. It feels like I've got knives in my mouth. I have to take the water, and I get a big glass of water, a 32-ounce glass of water, and I have to microwave it for about 30 seconds till it gets up into the 80s, the temperature for me to be able to drink it right now. Now, that moderates off slowly as the chemo, or it has been moderating off in the past ones. It didn't moderate completely off during the 7th, and I'm in the 8th one. I've got 4 more after this, so I don't know. But it makes drinking just room temperature water, ice water, now there's no way. It feels like knives. So things like that. Picking up something out of the refrigerator is painful. It literally is painful. It hurts. So the first thing I have my winter gloves. And to me, they're reasonably comfortable winter gloves, and I have them, and I use these to get into the refrigerator. Like if I need to get some milk out, these are what I use, which is great because they handle cold well, and they're gloves. You're reasonably dexterous, but it's not for hot. I got a gift from a friend of these, which are the grilling gloves, and they're great for getting in and out of the oven. Now, I don't want to use the others because I think they'll burn if I touch really hot. These are that, but they're the two problems with these. I really appreciate them, but they're I think I have finer control with the winter gloves than I do with these. And the second thing with these is that they really don't, they're cloth, and like dealing with raw chicken, I really didn't want to deal with that with either of these two kind of gloves. So I bought my third pair of gloves, which are these. And these are pure silicone, and they can go in the freezer or they can go into boiling water. Now, for me, they're great, except that they're almost, you have no sense of touch. I'm very clumsy with these things. And they're two things. They're difficult to get on, and they're difficult to get off. And the other thing is, like right now, I just put on, these have been sitting on the counter. They're the only ones that they feel cold, which means normally to even wear these, I have to run them under warm water to warm them up because they feel too cold. So then, he says I have to warm them up, so there's that one. So, okay, so I'm trying to fix bacon this morning. So I bake my bacon, which is kind of different. I know I don't fry it. I bake it. I get out a whole pound of bacon, and I think they're called rashers, and you split up the rashers and put them on the baking sheet and put them in the oven and bake them. And the problem with it is doing that with any of these kind of gloves is difficult. And so you try using a fork, and it's just frustration. So for me, the solution is, okay, I pull off one rasher, put it down. My hands now hurt. Now I have to run them under warm water and have to go do another one. So it makes setting up for cooking bacon difficult. Then when I cook the bacon, I ate it, but it just didn't taste very good. And I know the bacon was okay. But it was it's the metallic taste. So the other night, I'm looking for things. I'm craving something. I'm hungry, and I want to make rice pudding. So I reach out to my sister, and she says, talk to my niece, because my niece has my mother's recipe. Now, my mother's recipe for rice pudding is, there's no real measurements showing. Well, okay, that's not completely true. It's like 1 egg and 3/4 of a cup of sugar. 3/4 of a cup of sugar and a cup of rice and milk to cover, or milk. But it doesn't tell you how much milk, which we'll get into this in a minute. And the first thing I do is, okay, I've got rice. I think I got rice. I got milk in the fridge. Let's do this. Well, her recipe, Teresa's recipe, I'm sure is modified, which is my niece, is modified from my mother's. My mother never had 2% milk in the house. We tried, I think she tried skim milk once and wouldn't touch it, but she never drank milk much anyway, and we never cooked with that. We had whole milk. So I've switched back to whole milk. I'm going, why not? Hey, why should I worry about my doctors are not concerned about my weight at all. They want me not to lose weight. So I'm whole milk. And I actually considered half and half too, but that was another. And I go, okay, I got rice. Well, I'm pretty sure my mother never bought the kind of rice that I have, and I know my niece didn't. I have sushi rice, which is otherwise known as sticky rice. So her recipe is about how it cooks and she mentions how the milk changes, and she uses 2% milk because the fat rises and she skims the fat off. This doesn't happen with me. No, not at all, because it's sticky rice. This is rice, and I've looked at recipes on how long does it take to cook? I cook this stuff for 50 minutes, and I finally gave up. I still think it could have went for another 5 or 10 minutes because it cooks slowly, because the grains of rice are shorter, they're much fatter, and it takes them longer to cook when they're on the stove. And I'm stirring it all the time, so it's burning. And she goes, if it gets thick, put more milk in it. And I keep adding milk to this stuff, and I'm going, this stuff keeps expanding, and I'm probably should have used a larger pan. But anyway, getting close to the pan's getting close to full. And so I mix it in, and I mix in, do the eggs and the sugar and put that in there. Now, when I'm done, I have this stuff, and I eat it. And I grind up some fresh nutmeg on it. And I go, well, there's a tiny hint of nutmeg. And I've got a reasonable amount of nutmeg on there. That's because I can't really taste it. But I eat it. It's got a nice consistency. It's very thick because it's sushi rice, which is sticky, and you've cooked it in milk, and then you've added the egg to thicken it. And this stuff is glue, but it's good. Or at least it feels good. It's warm. The other thing is I couldn't go to the grocery store to buy rice pudding because the rice pudding in the grocery store is cold, and I couldn't see microwaving it, or it just seemed. So anyway, I fix up the pot of sushi rice, and I try it with nutmeg on top. Nothing. Put cinnamon, and my container of cinnamon has great big holes, and so I put way too much cinnamon on top. But that's okay because I can hardly taste the cinnamon. I do taste the cinnamon, but hardly. So I fixed rice pudding. Was it good? Well, I have no clue. I ate it all. It had a great texture. It looked good. It smelt good, but I have no taste. So I could taste a little bit. I could taste the sweetness, which surprised me because I was expecting What I was figuring I would have to do is I would have to put some more sweetener in it after the 3/4, because the other thing is my sense of taste of sweetness has dramatically decreased. For me, I normally, I drink tea, and I normally put 2 packets of tea in a liter of tea, and two packets of Splenda, and I'm going to 3 and sometimes 4 packets because I can't taste the sweetness and things like that. So it's that's the other thing, is the sense of sweet is gone. The only thing that most of the time I can taste, I buy the little mandarin oranges, the halos. They have enough acidic in them that they cut the metallic taste in the mouth, and they're good most of the time. Some occasionally get some dryish ones that feel dryish, and sometimes I can taste them and sometimes I can't, but they're good, and I've been eating a lot of those because they get rid of the metallic taste and they add a little bit of citric taste to them. But so I fixed the rice pudding, but it's interesting. Cooking is a challenge. Like I said, with the bacon, I was pulling the rashers off. You pull them off because I've tried everything and it's just frustration. Fixing the rice pudding, the most painful thing was cracking the egg, and I mean painful, as in pain, because picking up the egg, I could wear these, but I am so clumsy in those, and the other stuff I know wearing gloves with that, so I pick up the egg and crack it, and it literally is pain in the fingers from the combination of peripheral neuropathy from the one medicine and the sensitivity to cold in the other one. So you crack the egg, it's momentary, and then you run your hands under warm water, and then it's okay. But cooking while on chemo is a bear. And I think I just there are things that I do. It's like right now I fixed this last time. I went to I don't know what to call it. It's spare ribs in a crock pot. Okay, that's so you go to the grocery store and buy some pork spare ribs, throw them in the crock pot, and cover them with barbecue sauce. And you got to be careful about barbecue sauce. You don't want it with too much sugar in there because it gets funny. But that concentrates down the barbecue sauce flavor because it cooks for so long, pulls out all the fats, which is good. Anyway, makes it tasty, and pork fat, and you let that cook down, and that has strong enough flavors that I can taste that. The texture, okay, it's fine, but it's not barbecue. It's something, but it's okay. And that's the thing for me, is that I have to fix things that have a reasonable amount of spice to taste, because this stuff just kills your sense of taste. I bought some hamburger, and anymore I've switched. You get the 10%, or at worst case the 50. No, I find the 20% hamburger. I want the 20% fat because it doesn't matter. I don't. And for me, I like to slice up some onions, which I can tend to do. Those don't feel too cold, and things like that. I mean, right now it's particularly bad. I mean, reaching in and picking up a glass. Just a glass that's been sitting in the cupboard at room temperature, and it feels cold in my hands. Very cold. Feels like it's like below freezing cold. And so that's the sensitivity. But it's, and you end up wearing one of the sets of gloves that I have often in the kitchen. I have all 3 pairs of gloves in the kitchen. You figure out which one you're going to do. So it makes cooking just a little bit more challenging, because you got to figure out what kind of gloves you're going to wear. And often I wear, get something out of the fridge with one set of gloves, and then open it up with a different set of gloves, and then try and prepare it. Cutting chicken with these, I have done, and it's almost impossible. I have no sense of feeling and things like that. So you gotta do that. That's why I used to think that going to the grocery store and buying the hamburger patties already made up for you. You can make your hamburger patties. No. There's a real reason for that, and that's for somebody like me. And what happens is that for me, I can go buy the hamburger patties. I can cut open the package with a knife. I can wear my gloves. I can put a spatula under one of the patties and take it over and drop it in the frying pan, and I don't have to touch the meat. because it's cold. And so it's little things like that. And of course, I have to salt everything. Well, I didn't salt the rice pudding. Probably could have added some salt to it. That might have been interesting. I don't think that I haven't seen any recipes where they add salt to it, but it might help with my taste, and it helps with my help with my sodium. So I thought I'd put together a little thing about cooking on chemo, and it's picking up a can. I went into my pantry and just picking up a can. It's room temperature and it feels cold. Uh, and it's right now. Hopefully that will wear off a bit because I'm just going through. The side effects of chemo build up. I'm off the. I no longer have the pumping into me. My little port is right here where they pump they stick the funny little needle in that, then they get pumped in for that. That's gone. They took that off yesterday, and it's after 46 hours of pumping the stuff in me, and it just takes a while for the stuff to get through your system and affect you. So it's going through this, but yeah, I fixed the rice pudding. It was interesting. It had a nice texture. It looked good. Don't know what it tastes like. I mean, with enough cinnamon on it, and like I said, my container of cinnamon has great big holes, and I put way too much cinnamon on it. And you just stir it up, and it's all, and you taste it. Oh, I can actually taste some cinnamon. A little bit. And it's sweet, and it had a nice texture. And it's very interesting. I don't think I'm not sure if I'll try it again with sushi rice. But it was interesting. So if you like this one was fun because it made me laugh thinking about how to fix all this stuff. And I know if some of you out there are going through the chemo, I'd like to hear your stories about cooking with chemo. It's just so strange because your sense of taste, maybe not my sense of smell, but my sense of taste is so off, the metallic taste and what sounds good. I've had a great appetite because of the steroids they give me, and I just about that, and I still have an appetite, but right now on this eighth one, not as much sounds as good because I think it's there. I'm looking forward to the barbecue or the spare ribs in a crock pot. That's a way to cry. It's not barbecue, let's be honest. It's, I know what barbecue is, but it's not barbecue, but it's spare ribs in a crock pot with barbecue sauce on it, cooked for many hours. And it just falls apart, and it has a nice strong barbecue sauce flavor. You gotta have a tomatoey barbecue sauce to do that, to get the strong flavor. And it's like I eat a lot of salsa. I went through a lot of tortillas and salsa, these tortillas and salsa and things like that. But it's cooking is a challenge. So I'd like to hear your stories. Tell me what you think about this one. This one was just sort of fun because I remember reading the recipe, and I'm not going to post that. That's kind of strange. I know where she was coming from because it's the way my mother cooked, and it's the way my niece learned to cook. And it's very different from the way I cook. I'm much more timed and measured and so on, and she's much more of the old traditional cooking type of stuff, and so the recipe's kind of strange. And for me, I'm using very different ingredients, and I didn't realize how different the rice would be, but did make a big difference in the cooking time, I think. I'm not sure about the rest. The taste or the texture was very, very thick, and that's because I think I used the sushi rice and maybe not enough milk, but I fixed a whole big pot full. I ate the whole thing too, so it actually which probably wasn't good for me. That's too many carbohydrates, but it was fun, and I fixed that. It took a lot longer to fix. It took me more than an hour to fix the rice pudding because it took so long to cook, and it's because of the different kind of rice. Well, thank you. Have fun.